Welcome to the finale of the Spring 2021 Tasty Design Challenge, a restaurant branding competition that pits student designers from across the country head-to-head, competing for prestige, prizes, and of course, bragging rights. I'll be covering the details of how the competition was shaken out up to this point in a little bit, but first, some introductions. I'm Ryan Bitzigai, founder of the Tasty Design Challenge, and the instructor leading the charge for a group of student designers competing in the challenge from Coastal Carolina University, which is located in Conway, South Carolina, just outside of Myrtle Beach.
I am Michael Burrell. I am faculty at St. Joseph's College, where I teach in the digital design department. We are on Long Island in New York.
I'm Emily Coates, faculty of graphic design at Pacific University in Forest Grove, which is just outside of Portland, Oregon. I'd also like to introduce our final judge, Michelle Humphrey. Michelle has been the marketing manager at Cream Family Brewers for over 6 years. She has a background in beverage branding as well as restaurant branding, so she's a great person to act as our judge for this challenge.
Hi everyone, I'm super excited to be here and thrilled to see what you guys have to present to us.
So now, a breakdown of the competition to this point. First up, from Coastal Carolina University, the largest of the three classes participating in this challenge was broken down into 5 teams of 3 student designers. Each team was paired with an outside client who served as owner/operator of a fictitious new restaurant. In actuality, these clients were designers and educators from all over the country, volunteering their time and talents to both serve as client and mentor throughout the competition. The first team worked with Abby Guido. For the sake of this competition, Abby played the owner-operator of a Philadelphia-based takoyaki restaurant called Great Balls of Fire. But in real life, Abby is an assistant professor of graphic and interactive design at Temple University. After several weeks of iteration and back-and-forth collaboration, Abby selected Amber Ford's Cheeky Design as the best solution for her restaurant. Next up is Antoine Key's Red Steel Barbecue and Brew, located in Birmingham, Alabama. While Antoine is originally from Alabama, he currently serves as an assistant professor of art and design at Salem State University. Antoine chose team member Lynn I's work to represent Red Steel. Up next, we have Deb Klein's Board Charcuterie Bistro, located in Hartford, Connecticut. Like her restaurant, Deb is a Connecticut-based designer and educator. Deb deemed Stacy Hinneford's work to be the best of the bunch from her team. Joining us from the West Coast, designer and educator Michael Scaringe's Locke's Joy brought New York-style bagels to the Bay Area. Mike couldn't resist the playful charm of Jeff Davis's design and his cartoony mascot, Loxy. And last but not least, Riley Paulson is the facilitator for training and design with the Digital Core at Ball State University. Riley presented his team with a speakeasy-themed Chicago deep dish pizzeria called Triangle Undertones. Riley deemed Nikki Lee's Golden Graphics to be the best match for his vision for Triangle Undertones. The 5 winning concepts were then pitted against one another, and Amber Ford was selected as the finalist to represent Coastal Carolina University in the finale. St. Joseph's College may have been the smallest class competing in the challenge, but a competitive spirit within the class led to some incredible results from the 2 teams competing. The first team was helmed by Danelle McElraith. Danelle is an assistant professor at Kutztown University. For her team, Danelle dreamed up the Southeast Pennsylvania-based Keystone Meadery and selected the design work of Juliana Martinez to represent it. North Carolina-based designer Jimmy Henderson presented his team with a ramen shop called Street Food located in Winston-Salem, for which Jimmy selected the spray paint-infused design of Steve Cole. In a tight head-to-head showdown between the 2 group winners, Steve Cole and his street food concept were selected to represent St. Joe's in the finale. Last up, we have 3 more teams of talented student designers at Pacific University. The first team worked with Connecticut-based designer Garrett DeVries. Garrett selected the work of Kylena Lewis to represent his restaurant, Soot and Sout. Next, Jason Fowler, assistant professor of graphic design at Chowan University, challenged his team with a keto-friendly restaurant located in Virginia Beach. Jason selected Riley Skidmore's radical cartoony design to represent Keto JF. And for our very last team, Katie Kirkmerrick, assistant professor of practice at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, presented her design team with Sugar Shot, which serves up handcrafted desserts and drinks to its patrons. Katie selected Grace Alexandra's sweet design as the winner for her group. From this final bunch of team winners, Riley Skidmore was selected as the Pacific University finalist. And that brings us to the final showdown between our three finalists. Each finalist has submitted a pre-recorded pitch for their final concept for our incredible judge Michelle's consideration. First up, from Coastal Carolina University, we have Amber Ford, who, as a reminder, worked with Abby Guido from Temple University to brand her late-night takoyaki eatery, Great Balls of Fire.
Hello everyone, my name is Amber Ford, and today I will be presenting my pitch deck for the restaurant Great Balls of Fire. Let's get started. First, I would like to start off with the brand's background. Great Balls of Fire is a restaurant that is bold and youthful. It is located in the Fishtown neighborhood of Philadelphia and strives to educate the area about Japanese culture and cuisine. This brand stays away from cliches to promote a more authentic relationship with its customers. So how do we simplify the brand's goals and desires to create a cohesive visual aesthetic? I like to start with a word wall, so to speak, that can help clients begin to describe the feeling of the brand. With Great Balls of Fire, Abby laid out an amazing framework of what she wanted. From our initial meeting, she made it clear what the brand needed to invoke. The circles outlined in purple speak to the feeling of the restaurant. The circles outlined in blue speak to the visual storytelling of the restaurant, and the circles outlined in black speak to the atmosphere in which the restaurant resides. After completing the word wall, I move on to the mood board. This mood board is a brief visual summary of the research I did into Japanese culture and design. Many people have heard of the term kawaii, which is not only the word for cuteness, but the feeling of cuteness. In Japanese culture, there are two distinct types of kawaii, yami kawaii and yama kawaii. For most of us, when we hear kawaii, we think of yami kawaii, the very bright, busy, and cutesy side of Japanese culture. However, yami kawaii explores darker subjects such as suicide, death, and self-harming, while disguising itself as yami kawaii. This is the logo we landed on. It's obvious in the sense that it is a ball on fire, as the name suggests. However, there are hidden messages within. The goal for this logo was to be smart, respectful, and fun. Since this restaurant is deeply rooted in the city's nightlife scene, it was very important to brand towards an older, slightly more intoxicated group of people. I pulled inspiration from the hidden messaging in Yama Kawaii and American Dirty Joke humor, and began to think about how I could mesh the two. As a result, I added a carefully disguised phallic symbol as the face of the ball. Can you see it? These are some examples of how responsive the logo is. It can adapt to fit the promotional material it is being applied to. For example, the Instagram profile picture could be the singular ball without the flame. This makes it more legible for viewers. Now let's move into some logo and branding application. Because the brand is so youthful and non-traditional, so to speak, we decided on t-shirts instead of aprons. We also decided to focus on quirky branded goods that make the customer's experience more fun and exciting. The copy on the chopsticks play off the phrase, grow a pair, and you can see these types of references throughout the branding. Again, really pushing that comical and lighthearted aspect of the restaurant. Continuing with the to-go items, here's the bag and box design. The bag is meant to be highly customizable. This label is meant to be printed on the bag, and then an employee would write the customer's name, order, special instructions, and date. The employee would also put stickers on the bag that coordinate to what the customer got. For example, Chloe got ponzu and goma, both of which require a Peter sticker because they aren't spicy. We will discuss the patterns and brand characters later in this presentation. Moving on to the pattern and storefront mock-up, the restaurant is meant to be a fast-paced, modern restaurant that you can easily grab a bite and go. The pattern is busy, which represents how kawaii is busy in Japanese culture. However, there is a sense of balance. The menu is where the character designs are the most important because they indicate the level of spice with their cheeks. The organization of the boxes and information started out here on the menu, but is carried out throughout the branding. Since the restaurant is so fresh and bold, it makes sense that their brand extends into the social media world. These mock-ups are for Instagram, but there is no doubt that the brand would be on social media platforms like Twitter and TikTok. Also, you will notice that the brand characters do not have color differentiations on Instagram. And that is because it is crucial to keep a consistent aesthetic on the platform. So I chose to stick with brand colors. And last but not least, the style tile. The entire branding uses the font family of Lado. The main colors are red and blue with an accent of purple. The brand characters are all named to fit the playfulness of the brand. Also, you will notice that there are two patterns. The one where all the characters are red is meant to be used on larger branded materials and social media, whereas the colorful pattern is meant to be used on smaller branded materials that are used in the sense of food. For example, the menu and chopsticks. As for the characters, I definitely feel that they have a potential to grow as the restaurant does. Maybe once customers begin to build a relationship with the brand, they'll want to know more about the Ballsy crew. I can see each of them getting their own backstories in the future. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to view my work. I would like to thank my professor, Ryan Bitzigai, our team's design consultant, Abby Guido, and my teammates, Essence and Chanyi. Thank you.
All right, Michelle, what are your initial thoughts about Amber's work?
Yeah, I would say that the this whole oral presentation and thought process and research that went into this pitch was really well thought out. I think that she obviously did her homework and really brought that into the overall design and concept. There is a really strong brand story, the use of play on words and how that lives in the aesthetic as well. I would say that overall, the visuals play very well together, having the pattern and kind of this like cartoon aspect is very strong. You know, a little bit of feedback on the primary logo. It's very well thought out, but you know, reduced down to size. The main logo might be hard to read. I understand where she's coming from on the colors. You know, playing with the colors to identify the spiciness of the food is really smart. And I would say that she should continue to keep that on the social side. I don't think that she needs to keep just the primary colors on social. Even on the outside branding of the building, I think that color would actually add some visual interest. You know, practicality wise, there are some things on those designs that maybe be cost prohibitive for a restaurant. How it's going to be applied on the building, that design on the building. You know, I'm curious what kind of menu paper would, you know, what should be using there. You know, is it going to be readable? The purple font on the descriptions, does that get lost at all? But overall, I think that the aesthetic and the overall brand is very solid. It's very cohesive. I'm not super confused by it. And it really brings a lot of life and energy into the brand story itself. And I think it was just done beautifully.
So thank you, Michelle, for the feedback for Amber. And the next video you're going to see is from one of my students from St. Joseph's. This is work from Stephen Cole. This semester, Stephen Cole worked with Jimmy Henderson from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And Jimmy provided Stephen with the idea of a ramen/Korean barbecue restaurant.
Hi, I'm Steve Cole, and this is my vision for street food. Starting with the client's brief, I focused on a few design elements that stood out to me, such as love for street art, graffiti, modern design, and bold color. The target audience for street food is young professionals, about 25 to 35, who enjoy the exclusive membership side of the ramen drops and enjoy street art and a bit of an alternative scene. In the initial stylescape presented to the client, we wound up moving forward with all of the type that was presented, but made minor revisions to the logo. The style guide is pretty straightforward in terms of color, focusing just on black, white, and gold, but there's fun potential with the gold foil variations that could be used in any application where it's physically and fiscally possible. The Northwest typeface is a nice clean, bold sans serif with just little hints of serif in there for decoration, and it pairs nicely with the Made Soul Maze brush. And the Douglas Burlington is a combination of both and just reads really clean throughout the entire branding. The black and white variations are pretty straightforward and clean looking. And the responsiveness of the logo can really work on anything you need to work with, big or small. The back of the business card could easily be made by hand and gives a really nice, unique, custom vibe. These coasters could also be made by hand for fun little giveaways. The gold foil really pops on the back and can be worn by both employees and sold at the swag shop. Once again, these can quickly be made in-house and also serves a purpose to give a nice touch for pickup orders and takeaway. The gold foil in the window is always a nice, clean, classy, modern touch. And you can't have a street art themed restaurant without a mural on the side of the building. The menus will be silk screened onto 11 by 17 recycled cardboard, giving each menu a distinct look. The backs of the menus will also be utilized to give away free art drops in conjunction with the ramen drops once a month with rotating artists. And in true street art fashion, menus could be wheat pasted around town and then also double as a wayfinding sign to be customized wherever you choose to put it up around the area. The social media could also highlight any of the special ramen drops, holiday themed, or even last minute drops simply by changing the color or the foil texture in the background. Some swag and membership options include a gold pin and gold custom chopsticks to gain access to the ramen drops themselves, as long as a couple other variations of bandanas and potentially custom bowls for purchase at the shop itself. And if you happen to have a Pontiac GTO lying around, this is a good head turner for business, which can all be found on the website, which is under construction. Thank you for your consideration, and I look forward to hearing back from you.
All right, so Michelle, do you have any initial feedback or reaction for Steven's work?
Yeah. Well, first off, I really loved the intro with the video and the splicing of the actual food and the graffiti painting and kind of building on kind of where the direction of the brand is going. I enjoyed his explanation of his font choices and the reasoning behind that. I would say that there's a really good solid foundation for a brand story, but there is a little bit of a disconnect, especially as you have this graffiti. When you talk about graffiti and the art of that and that street art, and then trying to pair it with the modern classic where you're using your golds and your blacks, I see what you're trying to do there, but I'm almost missing an element of how those connect. And it kind of feels confusing a little bit when you have a very pristine gold aesthetic, but you're trying to push the graffiti side of things. And I also kind of miss how it connects to the restaurant as a whole. So I think, playing around with those secondary colors of the teal and the purple and a little bit more in the design would really make this a really strong aesthetic. I love how you are utilizing the graphic element in different areas, the different ways it can be applied on a variety of mediums, all the merch. It's really important for a client to see how their brand lives in all these different mediums. I would say my initial thought of the actual art itself, I see that it's supposed to be a graffiti paint splotch, but when I first saw it, I actually thought of like a gunshot wound a little bit. So it kind of threw me off a little bit. So I think it's just figuring out how to tie in the graffiti elements and the story of the restaurant a little bit more, and just tightening that up would go a long way. But besides that, I think you have a lot of great ideas with the artwork on the back of the menus and the coaster idea. I mean, it'd even be fun to like have competitions for people doing their own graffiti coaster art and displaying that on the wall. It just kind of extra elements to add to the marketing piece. I would say on the practical element, printing on cardboard is a fun idea, but I don't know how it would actually work in a restaurant setting where menus have to be printed all the time, they get soiled. And I can see that being a fun thing at first, but then the restaurant owner probably would get very frustrated having to do that all the time. So it would probably need to be something that's limited or just something a different direction that would be actually would make sense for the restaurant to do over and over and over again. But yeah, overall, I think that there is something here. The vibe is really good, and you have thought it through all the way. So nicely done.
Thanks for the insightful comments on Stephen's work, Michelle. Last but not least, we have Riley Skidmore's work from Pacific University. Riley worked with Jason Fowler, a design educator from Chowan University, to develop a whimsical identity concept for his tropical-inspired keto restaurant. Let's take a look.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Riley Skidmore. I'm a graphic designer at Pacific University, and today I'll be presenting my branding concept for Keto JF. And Keto JF is a tropical-themed keto restaurant in Virginia Beach that's known for its surf shop vibes and its build-your-own-meal ketogenic menu. Since the whole restaurant revolves around a keto diet, it's pretty important to make the branding fun and welcoming so that people will try new foods. Its primary audience is active beachgoers in the Virginia Beach area, and they likely surf, swim, or jog, and are pursuing a healthy lifestyle, which makes them want to come to a keto restaurant. And the logo was heavily inspired by surf and skate brands such as Santa Cruz, Ron Jon Surf Shop, and others, and it's intended to create a really fun feeling for the brand that you wouldn't get at any other keto restaurant. The logo scales down nicely, and you can see that there's a few variations for the different size points, and it also converts easily into a black and white image. So how do we get our logo? You got a healthy leaf, and then you got some sick vibes, and then that equals Keto JF. Keto JF's mascot is named Jay, after the founder of Keto JF, Jason Fowler. He's a healthy leaf, and he's pretty much the epitome of surfer energy and chill vibes. For color, I chose vibrant colors that really reminded me of a sunny day on the beach, and I named them to correspond with the branding with some quirky names. You can see those colors in action with a few of the patterns I created, and then you can see my usage of those patterns with some of the products that I mocked up, such as the to-go drink cups. And then here's another pattern I created using the bold outlines that are super prominent in the branding. And then I created a surfboard using them because I imagined surfboards being used as Keto JF's decor or even as a marketing stunt for someone to actually take that board out on the water and get some photos of it. And then here's my third and favorite pattern. And then you can see it used on a Hawaiian shirt, kind of like the one I'm wearing, that either waitstaff would wear or the restaurant might have them for sale for just general customers. And I would love one of those. For text, I used bold fonts and titles to keep with the playful feeling of the brand, but then I used a very legible sans serif font for a paragraph. And then I had my two accent fonts that are only used on rare occasions, like the pairing with the logo and with the kids branding. As an example of the brand's voice, I decided to create a few stickers. The first sticker is I ate at Keto JF and now I'm feeling Keto AF, which is a play on the restaurant name, and that's something that our client brought up when he was coming up with naming the restaurant, as he liked that it was kind of quirky and sounded like Keto AF. And then the second one is I went to Keto JF and all I got was rad vibes. This all boils down to the human need of just something cool to slap on your car and slap on your surfboards or your skateboards. And I know for a fact that a lot of people I know slap cool stickers on their water bottles. Then here's the menu that I mocked up. The front is really clean and easily readable, and then the back is simple. It has only one page for just user experience. Since it's a build your own keto meal restaurant, I didn't want customers to have to flip through a menu to find separate items to order. So I decided to put it all on one page so you can just easily see 1, 2, 3, then drinks at the bottom, and then a short blurb that explains that everything on the menu is ketogenic and what exactly that means if you're not familiar with the keto diet.
And then since our secondary audience is families with children and vacationers, I decided to make a kids menu, and it's fully colorable so the kids can enjoy.
And last but not least, we have our official, unofficial Keto JF playlist that is comprised of music that I believe would be played in a Keto JF location. And the music is mostly upbeat indie rock with kind of a summertime or beach theme. And the code that you see on screen actually links to a Spotify playlist if you wanted to listen to the Keto JF playlist. Thank you so much for your consideration, and I hope you have a rad day.
So what do you think, Michelle?
Well, I really loved how this presentation was put together from beginning to end. The intention behind the theme, the music, she's wearing the Hawaiian shirt. I just really felt the energy and enthusiasm for this pitch to her client. And I think that's really important when you are working with a client, that they get just as excited by seeing you excited. So very well done there. I love that she is inspired by non-food related brands, because it means she's understanding her audience. So she's bringing in that surfing vibe into the food aesthetic, which is brilliant. I would say that because it is a keto brand, that she might have focused a little bit too much on the surfer side and didn't really explain the keto side as much. I think it'd be really great if she was able to tell the keto story in different branding aspects. The menu would be a great place for this. The section where she talks about keto is a really small sentence. Maybe this could be bigger and kind of explain why you should be eating keto in the first place, since it is a big part of their story. I would say even the menu could use a little bit more of that brilliant design aesthetic. She did an amazing job creating these patterns and the colors, and all of that is playing so well in all the other different mediums, but the menu, I feel like, needs a little bit more to entice me. But moving on to the other aspects, she did a great job of really bringing this brand vibe with the stickers and the play on words, and the leaf logo is just brilliant and makes me really want to eat there, just because it gives this sense of like, it's building like a community, which brands ultimately want to do. So you're selling food, but you're also selling a feeling. And I think she did that very well. I love that she incorporated like a theme music playlist. That's such a cool idea. I would have loved to see that QR code live across different mediums. She mentioned it, but I never actually saw it in her design. So where would that live? How can she bring some of this design more to life in the actual physical space? She did show a surfboard, which is it's great that she's thinking about marketing, but I would love to see it more on the building or inside, or how are people interacting with the visuals in that way. I would say that the cup idea is so fun. But it is one of those things that might be a little cost prohibitive for a restaurant. Anything that's disposable, but you're printing full color on, is going to be could add up to the cost very quickly, and it might be something that gets cut. So if you feel like it's a really strong part of your branding, you might want to consider that it might end up going away if money gets tight for whatever reason. I would also love to have seen a little bit more of the social digital side of how the brand lives online, because that is definitely a very important part of the marketing side of things. But I would say that this brand is strong enough that it would easily live online in a very cool way. I just wish I could have seen it a little bit more. But yeah, overall, I was very excited about this when I watched it. I felt the energy and really just love from beginning to end the whole process.
All right,
Okay.
Michelle, you've had a chance to view all of our finalists. Who do you think has done the best job serving their clients and will forever be known as the Tasty Design Challenge champion?
Yes, you guys all did an incredible job. This was very difficult to judge, but I'm going to have to pick Keto JF because overall their presentation was really solid. It made me want to eat there, be part of the brand community. Very well done. Good job. I'm so excited for you as our winner.
And with that, that is the conclusion of this edition of the Tasty Design Challenge. Many congrats go out to Riley and her home school of Pacific University. For her efforts, Riley will be taking home a free 1-year subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud, thanks to our good friends at Adobe. And also for her efforts, Riley is claiming the newly minted Tasty Design Challenge Cup, which will live for the next semester at Pacific University until the next time the Tasty Design Challenge is run. As we wrap things up here, I want to offer lots of thanks and congratulations to all of our students who did incredible work. Thanks to our faculty mentors who helped make this happen. Many, many thanks to our clients who volunteered their time to make this happen. And a special thanks goes out to Michelle, who served as our final judge here today. Thanks so much, and be well.